Everybody, welcome to the Arkansas Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. I'm Jason Patterson. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to thank Torchy's, our sponsor here, for some damn good tacos. Also come in for some full-service bar action over here with some chips and queso. Maybe grab a drink. It's Friday afternoon, so, I mean, if you got a half day, come on in. Also want to say thank you to Hogville, everything that they do here with Lanny Beavers and everything. But I want to also thank Mike Perriman. He is the winner of the bobblehead set that we announced with Otis's show on Sunday. So I need to reach out to him or reach out to us here at Hogville. We'll get you set up with that free bobblehead set of Tusk 1 through 6. So, Dudley, how's it going today?
Going good. Looking forward to some softball and baseball today. Softball bumped up till 3:30, a doubleheader. So we look forward to that. Karaoke night at the ballpark. That should be interesting. I don't think I'm going to get up and do Genuine Pony, but we'll see. We'll see. That's been one of my go-tos on Dixon back in the day.
Man, I would say, there's a lot of Taylor Swift fans out there, it seems like, at Bogle. So I'm sure you might catch a couple of new Taylor Swift songs that are out there as well. So I'm sure that might be a popular number to be picking. So I want to bring up something real quick. Today, for some reason, I've had a roll of some good luck and some bad luck a little bit. I got a free drink this morning going through a place that I kind of like to go to because their internet happened to be down, but that was nice. But whenever you go to the barbershop, it's clear. It's so easy to communicate what you want, but you got to be able to do it. And whenever the barber or the stylist said, "Hey, you want this and this and this," and they say this is from 2020, that should have been my first cue to say, "Whoa, hold on for just a second." So I conversed with the lady for just a second, and she decided to give me a haircut. And they were very gracious at Sport Clips. They gave me the free haircut because it wasn't quite what I was hoping for. And as you can see, it's a little shorter than what it usually is. So I don't think it's been this short since I was in the Air Force.
Well,
so,
I haven't been to a barbershop in 20 years. I always do mine in the shower, just shaving the head. There's not much to shave, really. But, I often call it a bloodletting. It's usually some cuts and stuff. Yeah, that's cool to get the free hair and the free drink.
Yeah, it was. I was actually talking to Lanny for a second this morning. I was telling him about it, and he was rolling on the phone. He said, "Well, at least it'll grow back in a couple of weeks." So we'll have to. I'm really excited for it to kind of grow back because luckily it's warm outside. So, well, you got Hagen Smith going on the bump tonight. A little earlier than usual. 5:30 start at Kentucky because of the Eastern time zone differential there. All games this weekend, baseball and softball, are going to be on ESPN or SEC Network Plus.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Kentucky is a baseball team that scores a lot of runs. It's not been great pitching. There's seen that Trey Posner tonight. In his first game against Hagen Smith, his ERA is the lowest of the starters this weekend for Kentucky at 3.75, 3-0. And then you've got Mason Molina coming back. He's going to be on Sunday this week. Brady Tigert on Saturday. Arkansas definitely has the pitching edge, but Kentucky has certainly had the offensive edge and the amount of runs they put up. Also, it's on a turf field, just like Vanderbilt. So that's Arkansas saying that they practice indoors and all that. But it's it's a little bit different. I remember the last turf field was last year when they played Vanderbilt, and I went out there and there was a bunch of bubble gum down at third base. Where the third baseman's during the games had tossed their bubble gum down there and it stuck. So, I would think that would make the ball bounce a little bit different. But it should be a great series. Obviously, co-leaders, the SEC Eastern Division leader, Kentucky, who at one point was 14-1 and ahead of Arkansas by 3 full games. Now they come into this equal at 16-5. And I know the Run for the Roses is this weekend. But it's also a big weekend in that each of these teams have 3 series left before the SEC tournament.
This is the top 10 matchup. Arkansas is ranked 2nd in the nation. Kentucky's ranked 8th in the nation. I almost want to say it's almost, I wouldn't say embarrassing, but it's kind of a letdown that you have 2 top 10 teams going against each other and it not be aired on ESPN, ESPN2, hell, even ESPN News.
Yeah, it's interesting, and as I've said, on all these shows, it's on a smart TV. If you don't have a smart TV, why not? It's not that hard to do. So be able to watch the game. Certainly, it's going to be interesting in these TV deals, whether it be ESPN or whatever. A lot of them are going to move back to commercial TV, but also have an Amazon or something like that as rights over or whatever. So it should be interesting. But I'm looking forward to this weekend series, both of them. Arkansas, softball we talked about, as Ole Miss coming in. 2 games today, 1 tomorrow, because apparently weather's going to be bad again Sunday. And I'll just stay inside the house.
So if you guys have any comments, thoughts, throw them up there. We'll go over them with you here live on set with us here at Torchies and Rogers. Also, make sure to check out the location in Fayetteville, just a stone's throw away from Baum-Walker Stadium. So if you guys can't get a ticket, hit up the Torchies over there on MLK. So Arkansas comes in and Kentucky both come in as the leaders in East and West. Of course, we all know that divisions will dissolve next year. You got A&M and Tennessee that are right on both of their heels. So this is really a very, I wouldn't say a make or break series, but this is definitely going to be a series where you have one team that's going to definitely slide one way or the other as far as the standings go.
I don't know if we call it a must win, but you need to win. You need to get two of these 3 games, whether you're Kentucky or Arkansas. You'd be better off, once you get into the seedings and all that, both for the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. It's important these last 3 weeks. Mississippi State coming here next week, and then going to A&M, that you establish yourself. If not the number 1 seed, it's the number 2 seed. Certainly, the number 1 seed is right there. Ahead of them. You really want to be. To me, you really want to be one of those top 4 seeds because that's you get to host the Super Regional if you advance through the regionals, and that's been a big deal. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. I expect some probably some low scoring games early on, and then Sunday it may get nuts with Mason Molina coming back and we had 7 walks last time. I think obviously with the ankle injury, they were also working on some technique to make sure you don't issue so many free passes. But looking forward to it, and one of the good things as far as being a 60-year-old baseball writer, there's all the games are early.
Yeah,
so I like that.
With Mason Molina for just a second, I want to talk about with the injury, with the ankle injury. It's on his push foot, not his landing foot, and that does help him in the long, actually short term or in the long run right now, because it's going to allow him to get back on the field a little bit quicker. Because if it was the plant foot, that would be a completely different story. Do you think that he might have a little bit of a pitch count going into this weekend?
Well, I think that they will, watch how he goes. Certainly, the rest probably helped him a little bit, since he's been going at it since the start of the season. All these guys have been making each of their starts until last weekend. I would think that, there would be a certain limit that he might be on, but I also think it's going to be one of those things. With him pitching on Sunday, how much have you used the relievers ahead of time? If you haven't had to use too many relievers, if the algorithm, as we've talked about, has worked the way that they want it to the first 2 games, then, maybe he just goes 4 innings or whatever, something like that, because you'll have the availability of those, relievers. And they certainly have a nice little set, a group of relievers to come in right now. And some of them got some good work this week. Hunter Dietz is obviously out for the year. Hate to see that, but I think that it's the thing they've been working with him. Trying to get through it, but have him out for the rest of the year. And then you've got enough guys that I think you don't have to have him come back and pitch 9. You'd love for somebody to throw 9. But that's the one thing with Mason Molina this year. He's been a very good pitcher for him. At the same time, I don't know if he's been pitching this yet.
Yep. So you've got 9 relievers. They're in the relievers. You have 9 pitchers in the bullpen that have had at least 10 appearances this year. I know you're probably not going to see Cullen Fisher for a little bit, and also you're not going to see Ben Bybee with the start that he had on Wednesday night, which we'll get to that in just a second.
Sunday, he would be ready Sundays, my understanding, if they need him on Sunday.
And so with Hagan, it seems like he's been kind of on a pitch count because Dave wants to have that option in June if he needs to go 110, 120 pitches and go 8 innings.
We know how worn out these guys were at the end of last year, and certainly you don't want that. When you're facing a team like TCU was last year, and certainly you want to have guys with enough bullets ready to go.
Yep. So, let's talk a little bit of some Jim Schlossnagle for just a second. Texas A&M. He's been in the I wouldn't say crosshairs, but he has definitely been in the spotlight for not only social media but for media in general in sports. Over the week, I do believe it was Tuesday. It was that he came out and was talking about that there was an SEC school that has been contacted and that there was a report that they were using illegal cameras in the dugout. Also, after the weekend, he also was saying that there was a pitcher that was using from Georgia that was using a substance on his glove in the dugout too. They're number one in the country. They don't need the eyes this way. Why would he try to bring that up in the middle towards the middle of the season?
I'm not sure. In my dealings with Coach Schlossnagle, and I've probably interviewed him maybe 10 to 12 times over the years. He's always been very cordial, always been very respectful of Arkansas and other teams. So this is kind of a different side of him we're seeing. I've had a lot of people ask me, did I think it was Arkansas? And I said, Arkansas not hitting enough for the cameras to be working. I think you should look at somebody who's scoring a lot of runs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, all the 14 SEC teams are turning on each other. Everybody will say Mississippi State, Tennessee,
Vanderbilt,
and going. And there really is nobody that's hitting 306 on the road at home and 206 on the road.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I think he just threw out some numbers there. And, I think he's a good dude overall, but I think sometimes when you get a microphone in front of you, you say stuff that you maybe wish you could bring back. But also, I think at other times you say something to, spark your team or create interest. It's interesting that they're number one, and he has become the focus instead of the team.
Yeah, because, whenever you have a manager make that type of statement, like you said, it's taking eyes away from the team. But at the same time, they don't need any eyes any more than what they have. They're number one in the nation. They're on a rampage at the plate. And
9-0 down last Saturday, I think it was down 9-0 in the first game of the doubleheader and come back with 19 runs. Obviously, they've got a great baseball team. Certainly at the plate. But you're right in that, it's interesting that you're getting all this attention for what he said this week and not for how good the baseball team is, even though they obviously not won.
Yeah.
I do think that the Georgia pitcher, that is something that, that's just, I don't know exactly what he's doing, but it looked weird. And, when things look weird, they need to be, at least looked into. So I'm sure that the league office, all that has taken care of things this week. That just, if you weren't doing anything wrong, why'd you go sit yourself in a corner and block everything, and all that? And who the heck was filming it?
And why were you doing that in the dugout? Why don't you go back underneath the dugout?
Well, actually, he was in the corner of the bullpen. One of the main things when he was doing there. So I'm interested to see. SEC's got a lot of great baseball teams. I think somebody. And the softball team, for that matter, I think I saw one projection, maybe it was Eric Lopez, was Softball America saying that all 13 teams, the Vanderbilt doesn't have softball, all 13 teams could get into the NCAA tournament, which would be certainly something. But just if you're not doing anything wrong, I've been before.
Exactly. So I want to take a look here in just a second, a little bit around the SEC with as far as series go. But Arkansas now is 12-0. The midweek series games are over with.
Woo.
And
might be
2 nights in a row too at that.
Yeah, if you play any more midweek games, obviously it's going to be at the SEC tournament or the in Omaha, which glad all those people are doing okay. They had a rough week last week with the tornadoes coming through there.
Yes.
But it is, I think that you can throw some bullpens off the side for the rest of the time. But I think these midweek games, while they certainly serve their purpose and getting the guys who hadn't been played, I mean, I think you can say definitely that Peyton Holt is playing where he is now, at the level he is now, because he got the chance there in those midweek games and was able to get himself righted. And obviously, I don't know what the rest of the lineup is going to look like this weekend, but I know Peyton Holt will be in there, somewhere. So you're going to have your two Peytons who hit 353 and 350, I think.
And coming up with 5 for 5 game on Wednesday as well.
Yeah, and he didn't exactly, just stick the ball all over the place. The 5 for 5 is 5 for 5. And, this is a young man that's going to be very rich next year. He bet on himself coming out of high school. And, I think probably last year he was wondering, with the injury, how it's going to work out. I go back to the point I made, I think earlier, maybe last week. Going into the season, he was ranked as the number 50 second base prospect in the major leagues. Not number 50 overall, but number 50 second base prospect.
That green arrow is definitely pointing up for him.
Yeah, and he's a great kid. Has great mindset on what he's doing in terms of life, not just baseball. But it's good to see him having the success after battling through it. And you would hope that's the same with Kendall Dix. It seems to me that really, really similar situation. He's not had the year that he wanted to.
Yep.
Obviously the fans want to, but he's certainly played great defensively. You just got to wonder if it comes down the end of the stretch here, and they're going to need him. Comes down the end of the stretch here and maybe gets a little bit healthier without putting in so much work maybe during the week and all that he will come out of it and be a guy in that fifth hole or wherever they're going to bat him that will get a big hit. I just keep watching every time he goes up thinking that the ball's going to hit that building over there, because it has so many times. So, but, you got to give him a lot of credit for persevering, just like how Stovall did last year.
So do you look for Nolan Susan to possibly step into that role for Kendall if he isn't able to be, not say productive, but consistent at the plate? Do you see him possibly stepping into that role, or is Dave going to keep kind of doing the turnstile with the
Well, let's mix and match with me. Obviously, both those guys are left-handed hitters. You get his when you've got a right-hander going, and I think right at 2 and 3 this weekend, a right-hander from Kentucky. I think you certainly have Nolan Susan there anytime with right-hander. I don't care if he plays third base or DH is what you get him in there because of the year he's had. But I do think that certainly you got to keep giving Kendall the opportunity to work himself out of what I think he would consider is maybe not a slump, but not playing up to the level that he believes he can play.
So looking around the SEC this weekend, you've got Tennessee that's going to Florida. Florida is a pretty wounded animal at this point, and you think that Coach O'Sullivan would have his guys ready for Tony Vitello to come in there and, if anything, be kind of a spoiler this weekend.
Yeah, there is a guy who's frustrated beyond belief right now, Kevin O'Sullivan. He's got a good baseball team. Obviously played a tough midweek schedule. I've lost a lot of those. Big win for them, obviously in the final game of the series with Arkansas. And Jack had the big home run there. There was no place to put him, although I was sitting there kind of thinking about it. It goes against baseball tradition to give him the Barry Bonds deal. Just go ahead and let him.
Yeah.
The only thing is Cody Shelton is going to be a top 5 pick as well as shortstop. He was right behind him. But still, it's after the fact you're going,
maybe one run isn't as bad as giving up 4.
But. Yeah, him and Charlie Condon. Obviously, Hagen Smith, the best pitcher in the league. I think that's hands down. But those 3 guys to me are the 3 best guys that should be the SEC Player of the Year. And I figure that Condon's going to win it because of his numbers. He's into the 30 home runs.
Now, speaking of Charlie Condon, you got Vanderbilt that's heading to Georgia to face the Bulldogs this weekend. I'm not going to say that that's going to be something that's going to affect the top half of the East and West, but it's definitely going to affect the middle part of going into the SEC tournament.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's not used to being in this position. I mean, I'm sure they're going to finish up strong enough and be able to host the regional, but, their hopes of, being able to host a super regional are probably. I don't. They're certainly not going to be a top 8 seed. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Pitchers upsets to have super regional. So, but Tim Corbin, has had great teams over there. Lots of players in the major leagues, obviously. But it's a big weekend for some teams in that the mid-range teams certainly are bucking for position in terms, not necessarily in terms of the SEC standings, which is important, but it's more important for you to get a good draw in the NCAA tournament, to be able to host that first round and then put yourself in a position to be home. And I know that Arkansas's gone through the road and made it before, but just like any other SEC team, it's better when you play at home.
So you got South Carolina. Now this is an interesting fact here, is that they're 11-10 in SEC play, but they're still ranked 15th in the country. That really shows what type of strength of schedule they had outside of the SEC slate this year.
Yeah, plus they had one stretch there where they got swept and lost 2-3 in a couple of weekends, and then they've come back. I mean, I watched a lot of their games last weekend because obviously they were playing Kentucky, and the Friday night one was nuts. 4-1 going to the actually it's like 2-1, and then Kentucky scored runs. Then Blake Jackson comes back and three guys hits home run, and then he hits another one in the extra innings. And they had some great games there. 16-11 on Saturday in the first game, I think, and then South Carolina that's 10-0 Sunday. That's interesting thing. Kentucky, as we said, is 14-1. Now they've lost 4 of their last 6. Being at home will probably help them, but how's their confidence? Their coach says that it's fine, but you got to wonder whether it was Arkansas or Kentucky when you're coming off not only losing, but losing the way they did. One emotional game, one a butt-kicking game, and winning 16-11. You got to wonder what their things going to be like, but it's usually all about pitching.
It is, with them going to Missouri and Missouri 6-15 in the season so far in the SEC play. This kind of might be one of those weekends where they're able to get some guys going and kind of springboard into the last couple of weekends. Because let's face it, Missouri's not going to be a world beater, but at the same time, they might be able to help South Carolina kind of springboard into the, like I said, last couple weekends.
Yeah, in Missouri, I think Coach Jackson there has done a great job in trying to establish a culture there, which hasn't really been there lately. And they've still got a ways to go because they don't put as much resources in it as a lot of the other SEC teams do. But I really think he's got the opportunity there in a couple of years to have the program where they want it to be.
And, he's first year coming from Memphis and kind of introductory to SEC baseball. So we'll have to see. Ole Miss going to Auburn. They played their annual midweek game, which still baffles me. It's crazy. It's a little odd, but
yes,
that's their dig and
that's their deal.
But they got 2 more games this weekend, and that's it. I wouldn't say it's really, I think they're really more jockeying for who's going to be not going into the SEC tournament.
Right. And we kind of forget about that. The couple teams don't go. It's going to be interesting next year when less games, more teams, basically. So.
It might be interesting and nice, really, with that single elimination throughout the entire process versus this round robin mess. Then you go to the single elimination. Then you go almost kind of like
it can get to be a long week. Spend a lot of money down. And I think that condensing it and really, I enjoy going to it. I just love baseball. That's the thing about it. But really, it is something that I think the head coaches don't necessarily want to do. I think they'd be okay just skipping, and having another week of games because of the extent it takes, the pitching it takes to win it. And once you get to Saturday, if you're there, you're going to try to go ahead and win it. But it's just such a lengthy deal that anybody who's done travel baseball, travel softball. It's the fact that in any rain you're playing at 1 a.m. at night and all that, and coming back and playing 9 if you lose. So again, it's a good deal. They're just making money for all of it.
Yeah, it is, and it's almost reminiscent of the way it kind of formats with Omaha, and so you have those moments where you have those storms that roll in, and you get a 2-hour delay, and then everybody's playing at 9 a.m. the next morning.
There's some positives to in barbecue.
You have Alabama going to Mississippi State, who Arkansas will face in the final weekend series next weekend, and I want to see if Mississippi State can hold serve at home against Alabama, who played Arkansas super tough a couple of weekends ago, and really see what they're able to do with them, and then move into this next weekend.
Yeah, I try to give Mississippi State some credit. I didn't think they'd be the number 3 team in the West at this point. I mean, obviously, rebuilding year for them. It seemed like lots going on down there. Not as much as going on at Alabama. Bet on that. But it's I got to give them a lot of credit, and I think they'll be a tough out in the NCAA tournament with what they've done this year.
And then final weekend series at A&M travels to LSU and Jay Johnson down there, Alex Box. And I know that Coach Johnson hasn't had the season he has kind of anticipated coming off of a College World Series championship. It almost seems kind of like a letdown. Also, on top of that, they lost a lot of players to the Major League Draft last year.
And the main one, let's be honest, Paul Skeens.
Yep.
Yeah, who I think has had 34 strikeouts in his last 2 games. One of my fantasy teams, I've already taken him stashed him. So I think he's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Dude's dating Livy Dunn, signed the big contract. He sure is. He's living life, man.
Yeah, he's definitely got it kind of made in the shade a little bit there. So let's move on to some softball. We were talking just a little bit about. They are going to be playing a doubleheader today, starting at 3:30 because of weather that could be cropping up on Sunday here, as we are, all amateur meteorologists that you pointed before. And so you've got the doubleheader tonight against Ole Miss, and then you've got the game on Saturday. Arkansas has now won 7 straight, if I'm not mistaken, either 7 or 8 straight ranked series against opponents in SEC. And with Ole Miss coming in, I think that really they're more fighting for position to get to really host a regional coming up into the NCAA tournament.
Right now, they're right on the bubble in terms of the same thing we talked about, the 8 national series. I don't think there's any doubt unless they just fall flat. I don't think that'll happen if they're in for type of coach team.
Yeah.
Unless they just fall flat, they're going to have to be a number top 8 national series. I think that's big because even though it didn't work out for them last year, you want to have that opportunity to have your fan base, have the familiar surroundings, and get all the things that go. A lot of people have a better home record usually than they do road record, except for Boston Celtics, who somehow road series, average. You want to be in a position to play as many games as you can. Kind of what we're playing. It's the last one. It's interesting. Kind of get about their voices.
Yep. Yep. And saw Mike Perkins, he's talking about the audio. It might be some of the acoustic radio behind us too. As you do a live show like this, sometimes you kind of have to kind of roll with the punches and get what you get sometimes. So we'll keep improving that as we go on as well. So sorry about that if the acoustics are not too well or the best possible. We'll keep working on it. Yeah, might have. But so last thing I want to bring up is predictions for this weekend. Arkansas, I really feel like Arkansas could take 2 of 3 if they can keep us under 5 runs with Kentucky all series. If they do, I see them winning possibly 3. I'm going to go on a limb and say 2-3. on the road just because of straight schedule. I think it's going to bode well for them on the road this weekend. Yeah.
And all this fly out, a lot of announcements, just sees it's conducive. Sunday is kind of the wild card. It's the two pretty well strong games, and then yeah. And that he was good habits they call a Sunday game, which it really is.
Yes.
And that everywhere you have to slug out. Arkansas is number 2. Enough offense to bounce win. So we haven't said again after 2. Like 13 minutes. They get excellent.
Yeah.
Now everybody's again. And get this sunset last week. It feels like the offense is still
it's that time. If you talk about it, consecutive weekends, it's going to come. It's going to come. Warm weather's coming. It's going to come. We're here, and the time is now. And Dave's going to have some tough decisions to make over the next couple of weeks. If some guys aren't producing, they're going to be some of the folks you're going to see come off the bench and pitch hit instead of be your everyday start.
Yeah, it's games. Just games.
Yeah.
Yeah, who has to be gotta get paid protection. Try to get this.
Yeah. And so with this weekend also, I really think Arkansas softball was going to go on this weekend. I really do. And I really feel like being at home and getting these double headers out of the way, I feel like it's going to really go well for the offense, especially with that second game.
Yeah, and you the Anderson certainly like to speak with you now together the series condensed into 2 days. It's match maybe as well. Yeah, so
That'd be great, man. Before we get out of here, I really hope Mason Molina has a great game on Sunday. He's really due for one. It seemed like kind of before that injury, he kind of was like, I wouldn't say struggling, but he was battling to get to that 4th and 5th inning, and then that was about it. I really hope some rest kind of helps with the command a little bit more, a little bit kind of, brushed up on the technique just a little bit. Just kind of.
Well, and you might be about technically I'm serious, maybe now it's got base. Yeah, base. Like 7. 5 against the base as the heights. 7 is still pretty good. Yeah, not really good. Who's going to get better?
Well, everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank Torchy's Damn Good Tacos for hosting us again this week. We'll be here from now till the end of the baseball season. If Dudley's on the road, I'll also be here. and he'll be in the box wherever he's at as well. And always come over and check out some damn good tacos. They got great queso. They have full service bar. And I think I'll give you some nachos, some queso and chips here in a few minutes. All right, well, everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us today for the Arkansas Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. I'm Jason. I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you. Take care. Have a good weekend and go Hogs.